Putting together a successful movie franchise is incredibly challenging at the best of times. But if there's one thing that audiences love about them, it's the consistency that comes with a familiar face. Look, here's mine. It's been doing these videos for years now, and with each passing one you move further away from wanting to punch it and closer to wanting to gently stroke it as I quietly read you some movie trivia. Yet there are many instances of big named actors having juicy roles ripped away from them for a multitude of reasons. Be it their own personal problems, a change in direction at the heart of the studio, or perhaps something a little more ambiguous that's still being debated to this day. Whether these films suffered or succeeded as a result of their recasting, each nevertheless left fans, and normally the actors themselves, enormously miffed. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are 10 actors who got kicked out of their own movie franchises. Number 10, Edward Furlong, Terminator. Though the Terminator franchise is perhaps best defined by the iconic statuesque presence of Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800, there's no denying that the most vital human character, at least in terms of the narrative, is future resistance leader John Connor. The character was formally introduced in Terminator 2 Judgment Day as a young boy played quite brilliantly by Edward Furlong. And when plans finally came together for a third film in the early 2000s, the role was clearly his for the taking. Though he did sign on for Rise of the Machines, by summer 2000, Warner Brothers eventually decided to recast the character due to his, highly publicised substance abuse issues during pre-production. In addition to fans being hugely disappointed that Furlong was replaced, he also missed out on what would have been a lucrative payday, with clear sequel potential. He was eventually brought back to reprise the Connor role in the recent Terminator Dark Fate, though disappointment hit again when it turned out he simply provided a facial likeness for the film's opening scene. You know, the one where he's, how do I put this? Where a young John is shotgunned in the face. Number 9, Alec Baldwin, Jack Ryan. Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan novel series first hit the big screen with 1990's adaptation of the bestseller The Hunt for Red October. And here he is, Alec Baldwin starring as the iconic CIA analyst, getting a load of praise for the performance and scoring a big critical and financial hit. The sequel, Patriot Games, was fast-tracked into production and released barely 2 years later. This time though, no Baldwin, as he'd been replaced by Harrison Ford. Why do you ask? Well, nobody's really certain. Baldwin claims that Paramount forced him to choose between appearing in the sequel and performing A Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway, while Paramount claimed that Baldwin's insistence upon script approval led to him being dropped from the follow-up. However, rumours do persist that the studio and the director actually wanted Ford for the part originally and since schemed behind the scenes to push Baldwin out when he became available. Not the worst idea either, as Ford was great in the role. And given that Ben Affleck, Chris Pine and most recently John Krasinski have all played the character too, he's probably still the best known for it. Number 8, Rooney Mara, the girl with the dragon tattoo. Despite the skepticism over her casting, Rooney Mara delivered a thoroughly transformative performance in this movie and scored herself an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. Everyone then expected an immediate sequel, but given the first film's large budget and modest box office performance, Sony proved gun-shy about greenlighting another movie. And it just languished in development hell until 2015 when they announced The Girl in the Spider's Web, which was, in actual fact, a soft reboot with no original cast or crew. Mara had finally been officially replaced by Claire Foy and was understandably disappointed that she wasn't asked back. It was always a character I wanted to revisit, she said, but that's not what happened. She may have had the last laugh though, as the reboot / sequel / whatever received middling reviews and sank like a stone at the box office. Still, given the incredible craft of that first movie, it is a damn shame she never got another go at it. Number 7, Edward Norton, The Incredible Hulk. It was so easy to be enthusiastic about Edward Norton's casting as Bruce Banner for 2008's The Incredible Hulk, and indeed I was, because this was an excellent actor noted for his commitment to roles playing one of the most iconic superheroes of all time in a huge budget movie, so what could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot, as it turns out. Though Norton ultimately received praise for his performance as Banner, much has been said about his heavy creative involvement in the end product. Marvel ultimately opted not to bring him back, saying they needed an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of our other talented cast members. Oh, ouch. Norton, meanwhile, claims that he opted not to return because he wanted more diversity in his career. And by summer 2010, Mark Ruffalo had been officially cast as his replacement. Ruffers here subsequently received rave reviews for his performance as Banner in the Avengers and has since reprised the role no less than 4 times in a starring capacity. Number 6, Megan Fox, Transformers. It feels like about, let me get my calculator out, 1,000,000 years ago now, but initially, this series was fronted by Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. The former managed to quit the franchise after 3 movies, but the latter was given the elbow by the studio well before that. And I'm not exactly an expert here, but that might have something to do with the fact she compared director Michael Bay to Hitler while doing press for the second film. At the apparent urging of executive producer Steven Spielberg, and I imagine it wasn't that much urging, he opted not to invite her back for the 3rd movie. As a result, Fox's character Michaela Baines was quickly written out and replaced with a new love interest for Sam, Carly Spencer. Here she is, being approximately 80% more girl next story. But you know, if this sounds like a major Hollywood bust-up, then it's not really, as the two buried the hatchet sufficiently for Fox to appear in both Bay-produced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films as iconic reporter April O'Neil. Number 5, Jared Leto, the DCEU. Yeah, it was always kind of inevitable that the Joker, DC's most iconic supervillain, was eventually going to be introduced in the movies, and for the DCEU's 3rd film, Suicide Squad, Leto was cast to play a radical new rendition of the character. Despite the obvious shadow cast over the role by Heath Ledger's Oscar-winning performance, audiences were nevertheless intrigued by Leto's singular approach. However, the film was then released, critically panned, and a lot of the blame was, slightly unfairly, levelled at his feet. His cartoonish performance was met indifferently by many, even as the man himself expressed frustration with how much of his role was relegated to the cutting room floor. Though old Jared here was originally intended to appear as the Joker in The Batman, Suicide Squad 2, Gotham City Sirens, and a Joker Harley Quinn team-up movie, those plans were scuppered in response to how his performance was received. Ultimately though, Leto was never given the chance to reprise the role, as the Joker was ditched by Harley Quinn in the recent Birds of Prey movie, and well, Joaquin Phoenix then had a stab at it, and we all know how that went. Number 4, NOOMI RAPACE, the Alien prequels. Yeah, Shaw here was easily Prometheus's most likeable character, and while certainly no Ripley, she earned the audience's sympathy and admiration due to the grueling wringer she was put through during the film. It's a bit weird then that she only features in Covenant as, well, as a head. A severed head, and a prop severed head at that, as it's revealed she was actually murdered by malevolent android David, to the intense frustration of fans. Ridley Scott has never stated precisely why Shaw was jettisoned from the series so abruptly, and while the new cast all did give solid performances, audiences were already fully invested in seeing the continuation of her journey. Covenant then bombing at the box office and leaving the series' future in doubt seems to further confirm how ill-advised its shifted focus truly was. And yeah, alright, the Xenomorph might actually be the major character in these films, but go on then, let's see you name one. Number 3, Peter Weller, ROBOCOP 3. In addition to slashing the film's budget, Orion Pictures were so hard up that they insisted ROBOCOP 3 be made with a PG-13 rating. Which, and let me tell you my friends, for a franchise that was mostly enjoyed for its graphic violence is, well, it's certainly one idea. The most harebrained decision of all though was refusing to wait for Peter Weller's schedule to free up so he could play the titular part. Instead, hiring Robert John Burke to replace him because, and I swear I am not making this up, he was one of the only people who auditioned who'd fit into the existing costume. ROBOCOP 3 was ultimately, and I'll be kind here, a complete shambles. Many critics decried Weller's absence and Burke's subpar performance, and the film absolutely categorically, unequivocally tanked at the box office. Ironically enough though, Orion Pictures' subsequent bankruptcy led to ROBOCOP 3 eventually sitting on the studio's shelf for over a year before it was released. Meaning that Weller could have just taken the part in the end, not that I'm sure he's got any regrets. Number 2, Kristen Stewart, Snow White and the Huntsman. Despite mixed reviews, the first Snow White film was a solid box office success and a sequel was quickly greenlit. But after it was revealed that Stewart and director Rupert Sanders were having an affair, the decision was made to cancel the sequel and then morph it into a spin-off focused on Chris Hemsworth's Huntsman. And so the prequel sequel-y thing, The Huntsman Winter's War, was eventually released in 2016, with the character of Snow White only appearing briefly in cameo form and from behind. A part Stewart was apparently offered but turned down. When asked about it, she has said, "We lived in a different time then, you know what I mean? I feel like the shaming that went down was so absurd and they should have put me in that movie. It would have been better not to be a..." Was she right? Well, Winter's War was pillared by critics, flopped at the box office and grossed barely 1/3 of what her movie did, so yeah. Number 1. Louis C.K., The Secret Life of Pets. Voiceover gigs in animated movie franchises are some of the most lucrative and sought after in all of Hollywood, because they tend to pay enormously well for what amounts to spending a mere weekend running lines in an air-conditioned recording booth. Now, admittedly, I've never actually done one myself, but if there are any Hollywood casting directors out there watching this, and we know you are, do hit me up immediately. The Secret Life of Pets was led by formerly popular comedian Louis C.K., who voiced adorable canine protagonist Max. After the film grossed $875.5 million worldwide, a sequel was fast-tracked into production quicker than that man can unzip his fly. Then, of course, when CK was accused of and admitted to extensive sexual harassment in 2017, he was promptly replaced by Patton Oswalt. And with the majority of the movie's audience being under the age of about 10, none of them really noticed. So there you have it, those are 10 actors who got kicked out of their own movie franchises, read to you by a man who was deadly serious about doing some animated voiceover work. Let me know what you made of it all in the comments below, and of course don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I've of course been Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.